Thank you for your interest in the Sustainability Competency Study. This is a follow-on to our original competency study that tried to answer the question, what should a sustainability professional be able to do? What we found from that earlier study was that there were a lot of generic skills, interpersonal skills, change management skills, project management skills that were key. But we felt like there certainly ought to be things that a sustainability professional should know. So we conducted a follow-on study to try to clarify of all the many sustainability buzzwords and historical events and certification schemes and practices, what's really important. A couple things about the study before we get into it. Some of the criticisms was that it was sort of US and UK centric, not really international, and that's, I think, a fair assessment of it. There were certainly some clear winners, but some of the most interesting information were the blind spots, what people did not know. It seems that environmental practices still trump social things in terms of people's knowledge of them. And as we go through this, watch for terms that you don't know because you might want to uh, beef up your knowledge there. And you may also identify terms that are missing, and we would love to know about that so that we can make the survey better next time. So we asked a series of different questions or clustered information into different categories. The first one was around history, and then we also asked for different frameworks and certification schemes and so forth. So this was the first cluster. And let me explain a little bit about the structure of this. So first of all, you'll see items listed on the left-hand column in alphabetical order, and then we ask people to indicate, is this something that you should have deep knowledge of, like you should know it well enough to teach it, or do you just need to be familiar with it? Do you need to know what it is, sort of be able to hold your own in a cocktail conversation, or is it really low importance, or does it depend on the nature of the work that you do, or do you not know what this is? So the color coding here is we added the averages, which is the second row of each of these. We added the percentages of deep knowledge and familiar and created a combined score. So if the combined score was 50% or more, we highlighted it in yellow. And if it was 75% or more, we highlighted it in this sort of bluish or teal color. You'll also see down on the right-hand side, 25% is highlighted in red under Don't Know. Anything that got 20% or more, the people were not familiar with it, we highlighted it in red. So what we discovered under historical events, some of the most important things for people to know were the Brundtland Commission, the Commission on Sustainable Development, the Kyoto Protocol, and the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. Here's the next. I'll let you look at that for a minute. So Montreal Protocol was pretty important. Silent Spring and Rachel Carson. United Nations Forum on Forests. That was interesting that came up more than 50% as well. So organizations, we ask how important is it for people to know of these organizations? In effect, where do you go for good information? And what came up on the top of the list was Business for Social Responsibility, the Carbon Disclosure Project, the Environmental Protection Agency for the U.S., the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, International Society of Sustainability Professionals. I'm sure that was biased by many of our members answering the survey, and the World Business Council on Sustainable Development. It was shocking, in effect, that 47% of the people answering were not familiar with the GO4. So that's an example of surprising what people didn't know. And also the Hadley Center for Climate Change was another one that people should probably know about. Almost a quarter of people also didn't know about the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. So it's interesting what people didn't know. In terms of high-level frameworks, the natural step and triple bottom line came out near the top. A number of people were not familiar with Herman Daly's triangle. And in terms of principle level frameworks, Cradle to Cradle and the UN Global Compact came out on top. It was interesting that the Earth Charter didn't, it got a 66% combined score, but I was surprised that it wasn't higher. And Agenda 21 got 61% as well. Precautionary principle also was very close to getting the 75% that would have made it the teal color. In terms of practices, the most important practices were closed recycling, a design for the environment, ecological footprint, environmental management systems, global reporting initiative, greenhouse gas protocol, and life cycle assessment. If you look down to the white line, SA 8000, that's an example of environment still trumping social. That's a social accountability practice that 38% of the people responding were not familiar with. In terms of regulations, it was really a mixed bag. Nothing jumped out on top other than the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. Almost got to be top billing here. Also the Endangered Species Act, the Energy Using Products Directive from the European Union, and the REACH European Directive. RoHS was less well known and didn't quite make it to the 50% level. Certifications and eco-labels, Cradle to Cradle, Energy Star, Fair Trade, Forest Stewardship Council, which got a much higher score than its companion Sustainable Forestry Initiative. ISO standards and LEED were the most important. You can see the results there. IRIS, a lot of people were not familiar with the impact reporting and investment standards. All the ISO standards were important, like the one for social responsibility and carbon footprint as well. Organic, of course. So for the full reports, you can go to www.sustainabilityprofessionals.org and click on Publications, Special Reports, and that will take you to this, the report. It's free to members as a file to download, and it's for a fee. You can purchase a print copy, or non-members can access it that way. Thanks for your interest.